Who's the most terrible of them all? It's Hollywood Leon.
Hey guys, I'm Hollywood Leon. It's my favorite day of the week, and welcome to Everyone is Terrible, the podcast where we discuss all the terrible things and people we see on TV. Today's topic, Michele can't read. Today's guest, Lucretia Lyon.
Hey, and I just want everyone to know that I can read. I apparently that's a thing.
Because there's still people that can't read. So,
Yeah, I had no idea that illiteracy was still a big problem in 2022, guys. But apparently it is. It even affects celebrities.
Yes, let's get into this. Our first topic, our first terrible person is Michele. So for me, it was Spring Awakening. I went to New York to see this Broadway show, Spring Awakening.
Fancy.
But someone was like, it's about German kids having sex, abortions. And I was like, what?
What? Yeah.
German? What are you talking about?
It's like Sound of Music versus, like a nitty gritty Sound of Music.
These kids in this show were incredible. And I remember because Michele opens Spring Awakening, and I was just completely mesmerized by this girl. I was like, who is this person? She is going to be a fucking star.
Certainly a perennial all-star on Everyone is Terrible.
Fast forward to like 2 or 3 years later, I'm in LA and I see a commercial or a trailer for the show Glee. And I'm like, I know that girl. Where's that girl from? And I put it 2 and 2 together that she's from Spring Awakening. But she's not the only star. Like, so many people came out of this cast.
And then Jonathan Groff was in that too, right?
Yeah, Groff. And yes.
Yeah, Groff. I should know Jonathan Groff because I was just going to say, just before he got Spring Awakening, he did One Life to Live, my favorite soap opera. And he was going to be a school shooter, but then an actual school shooting happened. So then they rewrote it as to he just like drove into a tree and died. Like they weren't, but it was like, it was one of those really weird, like, again, 2022, we're still having those.
Yeah,
like, whoops.
It's happening so much now. I don't even know which one you're talking about because there's
I don't remember which one either. I think maybe it was Virginia Tech.
Well, yes, Jonathan Groff did come out of Spring Awakening. Skylar Austin from the Pitch Perfect movies. And I remember seeing Michele on Glee and thinking, oh my God, this is fabulous. This is hilarious. This show is incredible. This is like the best pilot I've ever seen. And then the show became terrible and problematic. And it is like...
So I wasn't a big fan of Glee. I liked the concept, but it was a bit much for me, especially with a lot of characters. But I loved Corey Monteith. I thought he was cute. And I would always watch, like, if NPH was on there because I love Neil Patrick Harris. But it's funny to me because I always have this joke about how there's more dead cast members of Glee than members of Motley Crue. Now, what does that say? Like,
I'm telling you, there is like another theory about how they just all their lives were ruined and like either they died or they, like the guy with the child pornography, like,
yeah, and then he died. It's like you're going to jail and then he killed himself. I mean, who wouldn't when you're going to jail for that?
he had like thousands of images of child pornography. Like, it was disgusting.
That's fucked up. Yeah,
it's just really fucked up. So I don't know what the problem is with the people from Glee, but they are all problematic and came out terrible. And Michele is now one of the newest victims on TikTok. It's been going on for about a year now. There is this theory that she can't read, and people have
going on for a year. Wow.
So there's like 45-minute videos on YouTube. There's all these theories on TikTok that she can't read. There's examples. So this is hilarious to me. We know she's mean as fuck.
She is a terrible human being. That's all I've ever heard. She's a mediocre actress. I mean, I did really enjoy her in Scream Queens. I'll give her that compliment. But I really don't think she'd be where she is if she could not read or write. Like, that's literally all she does is read.
But you brought up something really important, and you were like, she's a terrible person. Like, we've all heard it. And it's because we live in LA. We're in the business. And this is a known fact, you guys. I forgot to tell you guys, I actually was on Glee. So it was like right when I read The Secret, bitch, I was like, I am going to manifest Glee.
So such a basic bitch thing. Like I read
right?
The Secret, and then I was like, oh my god, but it worked for you. So I guess
So
I
LA.
may be a dumb bitch then by not reading The Secret.
Well, you know what? I was just like, I'm gonna try this out and I'm gonna really try to manifest. And like I got the call for Glee. Granted, I wasn't specific enough. I should have said, bitch, give me some lines. Well, I said I wanted to be on Glee, so here I am, but I didn't say I wanted to be a fucking extra. So it's the season finale of like season 2 or 3, or maybe even 4. All I know it's that it's Corey and Leah Michelle, and they're in a theater and they're singing that gorgeous song from Journey, not Don't Stop Believing. I fucking hate that song. That's like every white person's anthem. The one that's like Highway Run till the mid. What's that song called?
God, I should know.
I got to see Leah Michelle and Corey like lip sync in front of me, lip sync for their life, and it was so good. But then the next day there was this scene where Jonathan Groff was on the stage with Leah Michelle, and Leah Michelle, like the entire 2 days, never interacted with anyone. Like she never looked at the audience. She never even gave us a chance for anyone to speak to her. Like she was very closed off. And then when her and Jonathan Groff were on stage, they were acting like a couple. And it
Oh
was
yeah.
it was the strangest thing because I'm like, we know you're gay. Anyways, she was on Watch What Happens Live. So she came on and she basically confirmed everything for everyone. We all have been wondering this whole time. I wonder if Leah Michelle has seen these videos on TikTok of people talking about her not being able to read. So she went on Andy Cohen's show and she said, yes, like there's 45-minute videos of people proving that I can't read or write. And so Bethany Frankel was on the show with her and she was like, read this word, read this. And Leah Michelle was like, oh, Dorinda, and like made like a joke and everybody laughed and she kept talking, but she never actually read what was on the cue card and she never actually denied it. She just said she got accepted to NYU and she said, how can I like be on all these shows and not be able to read? She's like, what is Ryan Murphy like reading the lines out loud so I can memorize them? Like, come on, who has time for that? So she came on and technically debunked it, but did she debunk it? Did she actually debunk it? I don't know.
I watched the video and I don't think she proved her case very well. It's like, if the gloves don't fit, you must have quit. It's
You're
like,
right.
well, Johnny Cochran would have given you some better pointers there, Leah. Like, because now after seeing that video, I kind of think she can't read. I do feel like it was a little too on the nose of the absurdity.
So Spring Awakening is technically back and they did like a revival concert and they filmed it for HBO. And that's what kind of exacerbated this whole thing, including the podcast. The best part of that documentary was like her talking about showing her vagina to Jonathan Groff.
Yeah, that I was like, what? What are we talking about?
Well, she was like, I was in love with him for so long. And I was like, why don't you love me? And he was like, bitch, I'm gay. Like, what the fuck? But I've never
Yeah.
seen a vagina before. So she said she took a desk lamp and showed him. Have you ever shown your vagina to someone that you weren't going to have sex with for display purposes?
Yeah, with a desk lamp. Like this is all very specific, sort of like her bit about Ryan Murphy feeding her lines. Again, she gives specifics, and you're like, yeah, this is true. This is what she would do. She's so narcissistic that she's like, I don't care that he's gay. He will be in love with me. I will show him everything, and it'll change him because
I
that is
believe
what those
you.
crazy bitches do. They're like, she really thinks that she can make him fall for her. Like she
Well,
does.
she said it like in the documentary. She was like, I
Yeah.
cornered him at a party, and I was like, we are the leads of these two, like of this show. Like, why are we not together? Like, we have to connect, like on stage, like because they have sex on stage. Like, they don't really have sex on stage, but they stimulate having sex on stage. I might have been like high or something because I was just like,
I'm always high.
I'm watching Jonathan Groff pull down his pants. I'm watching his bare ass go in and out of Leah Michelle on this swing on stage. And they're supposed to be minors. Like,
I loved it.
so I love that TikTok video came out of everyone with the sheet music and her without it, showing the cast re-recording their parts, and everyone had sheet music in front of them except for Leah Michelle.
See, there's just evidence. But you know what? It's just going to be like the aliens conspiracy theories we had for years. And now they're just like, yep, there's aliens. Like, we know of it. Here's all the documents, and nobody cares anymore because we're all too into ourselves. One of these days, it's all going to come out that, yeah, she totally couldn't read. And then we're just going to be like, who? Like,
Exactly. It's so crazy about the alien thing because I've always been fascinated with aliens and like terrified and obsessed with them. And like now there's totally proof. The government has admitted it. And you're right, no one cares. Everyone's just like back to Leah Michelle not being able to read. Then this waitress came out in a TikTok video again, and she was just like, "Hey guys, I'm thinking like I want to talk about my Leah Michelle story because I waited on her a couple years ago and I never thought she couldn't read. But now that I'm thinking about it, she had me read the menu to her. And she went and she went into examples and she was just like, it wasn't like blatant, like read it to me, but she was just like, what's in this? And she wouldn't say what it was, like, what's in this burger? She would just be like, what's in this? And the lady would be like, well, that's chicken Caesar. So there's like chicken and lettuce and like Parmesan and I'm
Oh.
dead. I'm just like, I can't. I can't. So I don't know. Can Leah Michelle read? I don't know. Maybe.
Like, I'm like, this is way more interesting because we know everyone has a problem from that show. Like,
I
Matthew
know.
Morrison gets fired for sending a text message from, his dancing show. And,
Oh,
you
I've
know,
heard about
yeah.
him too. Like the
Oh,
TikTok
yeah.
has been trying to cancel him. I don't, it always comes down to sex, and it's like maybe we should just be upfront that we're all whores and love sex, and maybe they won't be trying to find that out about us to expose us. And it's like if you just come out and say you're a whore and that you're just like a big fat.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at like people like Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen's just like, yep, look, I'm terrible, whatevs. Like, and no one cares. It's like, yeah.
And his daughter is now on OnlyFans,
And his ex-wife, her mother. So
and Denise jumped on to support her.
I guess Bold and the Beautiful isn't paying enough these days. I mean,
That support. They're like, you know what, honey? They're talking about you being on OnlyFans. I'm gonna get on OnlyFans now too.
yeah, everyone's a whore. I guess, that is the thing with OnlyFans now. People are owning their whoredom a little bit more.
It's so crazy. The OnlyFans trend is insane. It's like I cannot open up Twitter in public. It is nothing but cocks. All right. Well, speaking of sex and boys and
Oh, yeah.
craziness, let's talk about our next terrible topic, which is the intro to season 3 of The Boys. On Amazon Prime, a show that I don't watch, but I just got like accidentally stumbled upon it.
This is the best show on television. The first 15 minutes of this season is literally the most fucked up thing you will ever see. My mom had to turn away. Like, we watched the show together because we're a fucked up family, but
I
it's like,
can't.
she's like, I can't. Like,
It is seriously the most erotic, fucked up, arousing murder action thing I've ever seen on TV. It's the opening of season 3. Like, obviously, I don't watch this show, but it's obviously about these guys. It's called The Boys. So it's about these boys.
guys.
And there's like a superhero aspect to it. They all have like powers or whatever.
Yeah, so there's superhero, like, I can explain that part. The Boys is a group of regular dudes who are fighting against the superheroes because while everybody thinks the superheroes are so great, but really they're the company, the corporation that sponsors them, just covers up all the fucked up shit they do.
Like in real
what
life.
you're gonna say. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so it opens up with these two guys and they're at a party.
Mhm.
And there's already like all this crazy shit happening at the party that you'll see like
Yeah, there's lots of superhero orgies, not even just herogasm.
opens up with these two guys and they're doing coke and they're making out and they're clearly like about to have some hot fucking sex and he says I want you inside of me, like I want you in me, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, like bitch, pull out the bottle of Rush.
Yeah.
We're about to have some ass fucking on TV. So we're like getting ready for this like anal play, but instead the guy shrinks down to like the size of a thumb because remember
Yeah, and he's like Ant-Man. So
Yeah, he turns into like a little tiny Ant-Man. He shrinks down to the table, and the other guy is rock hard, so he places his rock hard dick on the table, and the little guy runs into his pee hole, and
yeah, right in the urethra. He couldn't do that on Hank Hill.
he crawls into the urethra and like walks in and starts touching the walls of his penis and like making the
It's just, it
guy.
makes you cringe just thinking about it. It's just like, ugh.
I have had something in my urethra and it fucking hurts. And back in the day when you,
Did you test positive?
no, but like back in the day when you used to go get an STD tech, they used to swab your dick. They used to put a Q-tip in your dick. Now all you have to do is pee now. They don't even look at your dick. Back in the day, they had to look at it, grab it, and stick a fucking Q-tip in it. It was awful.
They don't even look at you.
So anyways, the guy
Oh.
goes into the urethra and is like touching the walls of the penis and like making the guy all aroused. And he's like, go down to the prostate. So he starts crawling down into the guy's shaft and it starts getting a little stinky or something. I don't know. His allergies act up. The guy sneezes and turns back into a regular sized human, completely making the other guy explode and kills him.
I have seen some terrible things on TV. Hell, I've wrote things that are terrible like this. But Eric Kripke, I love that motherfucker because he can think of things that even I wouldn't think of. And that's why I love this show because I'm just like, wow, that's the most fucked up thing you could have thought of. Yeah, if you aren't watching The Boys, guys, like you have to. I mean, I'm a little bit in love with Homelander. I'm starting a little Homelander action figure collection.
I love it. So, you guys, for my terrible TV recommendations, I recommend you go watch The Boys. It's on Amazon Prime. And if you want to watch the Spring Awakening documentary, it's on HBO Max. So you can watch Leah Michele herself tell you that she showed her vagina to Jonathan Groff and that she cornered him at a party and was like, why don't you love me? Why don't you love me? Love me. But you know who, speaking of love me, Jensen from The Boys. So what's his name? Jensen Anson or something?
Jensen Ackles.
Okay. So him, let me tell you how he came into my life. So right before I moved to LA, I'm like in Vegas and I'm like, I'm going to move to LA and become an actor. Like, this is my thing. So I started watching this show that George Clooney had produced and it was called Unscripted. And I'm like, what is this show about? And it's this documentary, but it's a scripted documentary, but it's called Unscripted. It looks like a documentary.
What?
It looks like real life, but it's a scripted series, but it's called Unscripted. So it's about these group of actors in LA, and he is one of the lead guys who's trying to become a star and trying to get on the soap scene and like.
Yeah, because he was Eric Brady on Days, and I was Sammy's twin brother.
So they basically like show how he gets on that.
Yeah, that's funny. I've never seen this. Yeah. I love talking to boys and just that. And now I believe that Leah Michele can't read.
Who's more terrible though? That's the ultimate question. Is it more terrible that Leah Michele can't read, or killing someone by jumping inside their urethra and exploding?
Yeah, I got to give it to my show. I mean, and when you watch the show, that may be the most awful thing visually, but my man Homelander does some pretty fucked up things.
Yeah, you guys got to go watch this show. Like, I think I'm going to start it from the beginning so I can
for sure
really get down with the sickness, because guys and cool storylines and very gory and graphic things and lots of sex parties. Like,
what more do you want from a show, guys? Like
exactly.
Literally tell me what more could you want? Like,
you guys, you can find me on Apple, Spotify. Please go leave me a 5-star review. They're really, really important. Where can we find you? What do you want to promote today, love?
well, since I'm Lucretia Lyon, guys, you can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet, since there is only one.
And she's verified, you guys. Go get it. She's verified.
verified.
Tell everyone the first thing you said to me when I met you.
I think I was probably like, it's me. I'm Lucretia. I know I don't look like it.
That's exactly what you said to me. You were like,
they're looking for me. Yeah.
You're like, I'm white. And yeah, that's me. So
Yeah.
thank you. You guys, thank you so much. much for listening to Everyone is Terrible. I'm your host, Hollywood Leon. It's my favorite day of the week. Go leave me a 5-star review, and we'll be back next week with the ultimate girls trip. It's super terrible. Slorinda is back, and we'll be talking about Garcelle and Erica. We'll see you next week, terrible kids. Bye.
Who's the most terrible of them all? It's Hollywood Leon.